And we are now live. And from Lima, Peru, my name is Karsten, and with me today I got Susanna sitting in the city of New York, making sure that America is well, and I'm looking after Lima, Peru, while during these difficult times. So welcome. Um, we have at this moment one person live with us, and we're going to wait for another minute or two. But maybe here at the beginning, I can mention a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We have a few good questions. No, Susanna?
Yeah, a few, and we've got good news for many people. So,
Oh, yes. And we love good news in these during these times. And well, I can say for those who are on their way to Lima, Lima is very, very pleasant these days. It is a little bit clouded in the morning, but normally around 11, 12, the sun comes out. And I will not say it's unusual this time of the year, but we're not used to that much sun as we're having right now. And that I think is one of the positive side effects of COVID and lockdown. We have less traffic in Lima. We have less people moving around the city, and that means that a lot of vehicles stay at home, stay in the garage, and that allows the sun to spread its light all over the city. And then lots of birds in Peru and in Lima. Lots of birds that we haven't seen before COVID, but they are coming more and more, not only to the parks, but even just in the daily picture walking around. So that is also one of the nice side effects of COVID.
yeah,
Now that we're talking about the good stuff.
yes. Okay, so let's answer some questions that we received via email and Facebook. Everyone can definitely submit during the live chat, and we'll answer them as we get them. But number one, so hello from France, Laurent. He wants to visit Peru in August, and he wants to know about the cost of testing, what testing is necessary, all of that fun stuff. And then what are the protocols for once he gets here?
Yeah. So for the time being, the protocol is that you have to have a negative test upon arrival. So meaning before you enter the plane, you need to have a negative either antigen test or a PCR test. And when you arrive to Peru and you've been going through immigrations, then you will be asked to take another test unless you prefer to go into quarantine. And it's very simple. You can get a test done in the airport. It's about 160 soles, or it's 160 soles for antigen test and a 245 soles for a PCR test, and you can have that between 5 a.m. in the morning and 5 p.m. If you are arriving to Peru outside of these hours, we, as a travel agency, we organize for our guests to receive a test at the hotel, and then they report back to immigrations that you now have it, and that way your quarantine is lifted and you can travel around easily.
Yes. And did you mention the costs, Karsten?
Yes, 160 soles for the antigen test and 245 for the PCR test.
Cool. Okay. And speaking of the test, we have Joel joining us in the chat, and he's asking about Unilabs because they do close after hours at the airport if they're able to go to other places that aren't hotels. And I'm going to add the link to the site. Carson, do you know?
Yes, I believe that, Unilab in general have test facilities in many places in Lima. And from what I remember, they also go to your house, but it has an additional cost. But so I think it's easy just to walk over there or drive over there, depending on where you are. there are several locations around Lima where you can have the test taken. And once again, once the test has been taken, they will upload it to immigration so that they know that you are now COVID-free and negative and are able to travel around.
Cool. So number 2, Carlos is asking, when will flights from the UK to Peru start? So we don't have the date for direct flights from the UK, but the good news this week was that the restrictions of flights from the UK to Peru has been lifted. So you are able to come with a layover from the UK. So the only restriction right now that we do have is India, South Africa, and Brazil. So no layover from Brazil. But we will definitely update people as to when direct flights will start.
Yeah. We see that people from the UK are arriving through the through the US, most of them. So that's the route people are taking. But I've heard also that people travel from the UK to Spain and then from Madrid directly to Lima. So that's another route one can go if you want to fly now to Peru.
Cool.
And then we have Marek. Marek is planning to visit Peru this summer. And we understand he has flights to arrive in June and stay for a couple of weeks. And he would like to know if it's a good idea to travel to Peru now. Is it safe? And I will say yes. I don't see any unusual risk to travel to Peru. There is less tourists than ever. I think it's 87% less tourists that they're expecting in June compared to 2019. So I think you should be pretty safe to be able to travel around and enjoy the best of Peru.
Without the crowds.
Excuse me?
Without the crowds.
Yeah, without the crowds, without the long lines, and and to receive an extra good service, because all the hotels and the guides and the buses, everyone has more time and bigger smiles to give.
They're excited to have people. Last year was just terrible, and people are really excited to welcome foreigners and tourists. So.
Yes, I mean, remember there was 1.3 million people working in the tourism industry before COVID arrived, and there's still 1 million looking for a job. So those who were there should be smiling a lot, that's for sure. Again, to some of your questions before the COVID test, before your flight back to Europe, yes, in the airport you can have the test taken. Both in Lima or in Cusco or in the airport. The PCR test is, like we mentioned, 245 soles, and you should ask your travel agency. I don't know what travel agency you are traveling with, so I don't know who they are using. We are using Unilab, and we have a few other agents in different parts of Peru that we can recommend, but it's better that you check with your own local travel agency who they recommend you and with whom they have an agreement, so they can take care of you the best possible way. So, but if they don't have any answers, please come back and I'll be happy to find a name for you for who you could who you can trust and who you can take a test with.
Yeah. And we have Jack joining us. Hi, Jack. And he has a question about curfews and the times of businesses that are open and closed. And I'm adding our COVID article where we do add that information, because it depends on the region, depends on the city you're in, depends on the alert, if it's extreme, very high or high, that will determine the curfew time of the region and the capacity of the businesses, whether it's restaurants, museums, stores, etc. So it depends on where you're going. And you are traveling to Manu, right? Leaving from Cusco. And as for tours being limited, most tourist agencies like us are taking precautions and are doing, all the necessary things that to get people, separate in tour groups, whether it's private or group tours. I mean, there are restrictions, but you can still visit you can still visit Manu, you can still visit Machu Picchu, all of these places. There's just restrictions as to capacity and limiting the number of people, entering in and out.
Yeah, I think Mano is an incredible place to visit. You're out in nature. And personally, and that's my choice, when I go to that kind of nature, whether it's walking along the beach or I go to the jungle, um, I do not wear a mask. I need to take a deep breath of Mother Nature and get some air. And no one is saying anything if you are walking on your own along the river or the ocean, and there's no one else around you. But of course, when you are traveling on a boat, on a bus, on a plane, we need to respect the different rules that there is. And and I think in Lima on Sundays, it is for the time being that you cannot go out and you cannot use your car, but you can go to the airport. You just need to bring your boarding card. You can take a taxi if you need to go somewhere, but I think it's going to be lifted very soon. It has been more because of Mother's Day, that they wanted to avoid that people are getting together on that specific Sunday, because a lot of mothers are maybe not so young anymore, and the kids and grandkids are coming around giving big hugs for Mother's Day, and then that is when the problems appear. But I imagine within the next week or two,
it was lifted in Lima from May 10th, which was Monday, through the 30th. Sunday mobilization on Sundays is no longer. You can't use a private car, but you can go out. So the Sunday mobilization was lifted because Lima went down to high, very high. It wasn't extreme, but it went down to very high. So, Jack, if you want to check the article, you'll see the various restrictions for different areas. But yeah, I mean, people can go out on Sundays, right, Karsten? Like, you wear a mask outside, but you're free to wander. You can't use your private car, but taxis and buses are working. So it's not like it's a very restrictive restriction.
And one thing that really, another positive side effect of COVID, because it's not all bad, is that we have never sold as many bicycles in Peru as we have in the last year. There has been a huge demand, and I think it's been the best business last year that was selling bicycles. And a lot of people are walking and bicycling on Sundays because there is so little cars driving around. There is the beach along down on the beach in front of Lima is, you cannot even drive your car because it's restricted and reserved for people who wants to walk and bicycle and skate down on the beach, on the highway there. Up on the Malacong, it's the same thing. So it's actually fantastic on Sundays to bike or skate or walk around Lima and many other cities around Peru.
Yes. Okay. So number 4, Sonia, she's asking if the Sky Lodge is open. And for people who don't know what the Sky Lodge is, I'm going to add the article to that in the chat, but it's the hotel that is on the cliff of a mountain in the Sacred Valley. It's pretty cool. They're little pods. You haven't done it, Karsten, have you?
Unfortunately, no, but I have seen pictures and videos, and you should really, just look for it on YouTube. I wanted to go, but Morton, who's also a part of our travel agency, he went and he said it was beautiful, it was scary, but I think he took his girlfriend at that time up there to make sure that he said yes when when he proposed to her, and I can tell you she did say yes, and they had dinner, and then the next day they started to plan their marriage. So it's a great place for special events and to do something really, really out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do it. I'm scared of heights, but I would love to.
Well, we need to go. We need to go. There is no way around it.
And it's open, so we can
And
go, which is awesome. That was a question. And yes, what was her name? Sonia. Yes, it's open. And I think it went through the article where you can see the video of the Sky Lodge.
yeah. So we have a question from Tyler, and he's have a question about receiving his antigen test on Sunday. My flight gets into Lima at 12:40 a.m. My final destination is Arequipa. I want to take the COVID test to avoid the quarantine. So yes, you just have to wait till it becomes 5 a.m. and then you can take the antigen test. Once it shows that it's negative, you can travel to Arequipa and anywhere else around the world. And I can say Arequipa is just an awesome and beautiful city. It's one of those cities you definitely should consider to put on your checklist when visiting Peru. And if you like trekking, just a few hours outside of Arequipa is the Colca Canyon. It is our Grand Canyon, and you can see condor birds and condor eagles, and you can do a lot of trekking out in Mother Nature, and I don't think you have to wear a mask.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought, but yes, Arequipa, yes, Arequipa's awesome. We have a question from Katia. So she's heard that crime against foreigners and visitors has increased. I haven't heard such a thing. Karsten?
No, not at all. I will say crime is less, and one of the reasons why we have less crime is because on our curfew, that is every night from 9 to 4 a.m. in the morning. Of course, there is crime like there is in every other country, but I will consider Lima and Peru quite safe at this time, and definitely there. Yeah, it's not something. There is not as many headlines about crime, and definitely not against tourists, because there is almost no tourists, so they definitely don't catch the headline.
Yeah, and it's always, as with any traveler going to a foreign country, just take the necessary precautions. And if you're traveling with a travel agency, all the better. You're going to get transportation that's safe and secure. So, yeah.
I will say, I mean, there's always, people who wants to save a soul, and they go outside the airport to take a taxi, and there you do not know with who you're driving. So either ask us, your travel agency, to book a transportation for you. But there is also alternatives like Uber, and it works. So that's an alternative that you can also try.
Christopher, I think I remember you from another chat, is going to Peru next week. Anything he should know? Nothing, just be excited.
Welcome. I think that's something special. No, you should be prepared for a lot of posters for voting, because we are in election mood, and everyone is trying to get the attention of the voters during the next couple of weeks. June 6th is our second election, where we have to find our next president for the following 5 years. It's very exciting. They are close. They are almost equal. So it's going to be a small, we have to be shaking. Is it going to the right or going to the left, or what's going to happen? But no, there is not something in particular. I do consider that if you want to eat in some of the famous places, make reservation. All restaurants are only allowed to have 40% occupation of their normal seatings. So they fill up very quickly because just like in everywhere else in the world, people have a need to go out and eat and drink and socialize and see other people. So that's a good thing. Also, we can say the vaccination in Peru is also moving forward very quickly. And we just ordered another 32 million doses of Pfizer, and they should be delivered. So the process is increasing rapidly so that more and more people, and there is not a lot of problem convincing people to take the corona vaccination here. People are waiting with eager to get it.
Yes, very much eager.
And Joel is asking if we currently are doing Paracas tours from Lima. Yes, there is Paracas tours from Lima, and I will just leave you Flavia's email so you can write her, and then she can propose you what we have available these days.
Yes, I am adding that right now.
Yeah. So Christopher is also asking about if there's going to be any protest. Um, we don't foresee any direct protest, but there will always be some people going out to promote their candidate. That's something that we do a lot in Peru, where people go out and with flags and shout and things like that. But so far, we have not had any any problem so far. And today I saw that on the river, the Amazon River today, there was like a boat parade, and people were there with the flags of their candidate, and it looked pretty awesome. So it was fun. I hadn't imagined that. Hadn't imagined that we will see it on the Amazon River, but that was something new.
Katya, I just sent you an article about Andahuaylas and the hidden gems there. You should definitely go. I mean, we talk about on our website a lot about the hidden gems, second city tourism, which is, everyone wants to go to Machu Picchu. Everyone wants to see Arequipa, Puno, but Peru has so many places that, are underdiscovered. So I would love to go to Andahuaylas. I haven't been myself.
Oh yeah, yeah, Dansk.
And yeah, that's a yes.
Yeah, that's a yes. That's a wrap. All right. Then we had another question, which
Yes.
was
Number 5, Tyler. Did you answer that? You answered that.
Yeah, we already took care of that.
Okay. So Brian is asking, he's considering taking a job in Lima, which is awesome, and he's just wanting to know about life in Lima and Peru with the COVID restrictions. And again, I'll refer to you to our article where you can see the restrictions are more about capacity than closed down. Only very extreme places are, have places that are closed. Very high and high level alert areas are just limited capacities. So, and like we were talking about before, you can live a normal life, and it's actually even, many people say, is more pleasant because there are less cars. There's more, people who love the outdoors and nature, biking, have more opportunities to do that now, and in cities, and obviously in other places, non-city places, rural places. So I'd say take the job, Brian.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's a different, in a positive and wonderful place to live and work in Peru. I've been here for almost 18 years, and all 18 years have been fantastic, and I plan to stay here for many more years. So I suggest you take the job and take the chance, and you will not regret it. And regarding whether you can go out and do all the things that you like to do, yes, most of it you can do, but movie theaters is still closed. But I think that's about it, according to the list that you have brought in with your question.
Yeah. And, it's not that the COVID situation has gone away as with other countries, but, there is a healthcare system, and There are ways to keep oneself safe. So I think, it's just a matter of going for it. What about nightclubs?
Yeah, nightclubs are not open yet, but there are other ways that you can meet people.
Dance at the park.
Yeah, and I will say the Peruvian people are incredible, open, and just as desperate people are in other parts of the world to meet other people. It's the same thing here. So you will have no problem meeting other people, I guarantee you. And then there was the last question from Leslie, who is in the UK and she wants to travel to Peru. She's Peruvian and asking if she can enter on her UK passport. Yes, you can enter on your UK passport. When you enter on your US passport, you will get a tourist stamp as everybody else. If you enter on your Peruvian passport, it is as good as that, and it's just a big welcome back. And you can also, while you're here, update and renew your Peruvian passport should you need that. It's all online until they call for you to come in and show your fingers and let them have a copy of that, and then to pick up your passport.
Yeah, I'd say definitely do that. That was a good thing that I did too.
Yeah, and and then we need a little bit of help, Susanna.
We do. So we have asked, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, I'm going to send a link here to sign up for our newsletter. But we've asked our community of followers and friends through our newsletter and through Facebook too to help us with a survey so we can better understand our travelers, people who want to come to Peru, and how we can better service you through, the tours that we give, information that we provide on our website, the live chats that we have here. So I'm going to send the link for people to take the survey, and we would greatly appreciate that.
And I can tell you it is very short. It takes about 1 minute to fill out, but it gives us a lot of input, what is important to you before traveling to Peru. And that way, we can prepare for that. We believe that we have the best infrastructure to let people arrive safely to Peru, give them the best possible experience, and make sure that they catch their flight to get back home. But there might be something that you can enlighten us with that we haven't thought about, and we would love to hear that so we can include that too in our service.
Yeah, and thank you, Katya and Christopher. It's really awesome to hear that the chats are helpful, and that you are planning and wanting to come to Peru. That's really our dream and why we're here. We really want to make it safe and easy for people to travel to Peru. Like Carson said, Peruvians are waiting for with open arms for travelers to come. Open arms, but social distancing.
Yes. Yes. I think that's about what we have for today. Again, we'll be back here on next Thursday, same time, same place. If you have more questions, feel free to return. If you know of any friends who are planning a trip to Peru, please invite them to join us, and we will look forward to see you all here in Peru. We're here for you. We're just waiting. So please come to Peru.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.